Is being an author your dream job?
All I ever wanted was to be an author. The 1976 Guinness Book of World Records showed, I was 6, and it showed the youngest author was 4, Dorothy Strait. And I cried and said, I can't be the youngest author. Like, that's how long I've wanted to do it. It is my dream job. Being an author and selling my books to companies and being traditionally published was actually a total nightmare. Being able to be an author who publishes my own books and gets to kind of do it for fun is my dream job. Absolutely.
Do you wish you could just be an author and not have to run your own company?
That's such a good question. No, I love doing all of it. It's not that I feel badly for people who say that they write all day, but I think, that sounds kind of boring. I love that I get to write, I get to make podcasts, I get to talk to clients, I get to go do speaking. I need the variety. And I will tell you, I had years when I lived in New York and I was just on contract writing books for HarperCollins, and my whole life was sitting in my depressing studio apartment with my 2 cats writing books. And to me, I know that's a dream for some people, not for me. I approach writing like a job. I always think that when people talk about writer's block, I'm like, oh, does the bricklayer wake up and go, I don't feel inspired. I just don't think I can lay a brick. If you're a writer, have the self-respect to do it every day. And so when I was writing books, my deal with myself was I will write 3 pages a day, but I can't write my 3 pages till I revise my 3 pages from the day before. First-time authors, I don't recommend revising as you go. You should just get your first draft out, but that's how I write books. That's not fun. I want to have different things. It's very isolating to write full-time.
Well, for someone who's an extrovert, and I know you said you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
That does seem difficult. For those who are more introverted and they, it's almost like they dread going to the grocery store, do you think that would be a dream job? Or even for that type of person, it would still get depressing?
I don't know. I can't really get in someone else's head, but I will say the people who tell me, oh, I wish I could write full time, they're never the people who do. I think everything sounds better than it actually is. But I think we also need experiences to have things to write about. If we're doing nonfiction, it's like you can't just hole up and have a whole world that you can write about.
That's a great point. And so when you are busy doing other things, you're
getting material.
Yeah, great material. If someone came to you and said, all I want to do is be an author, that's all I want to do, what would you tell them?
Oh, it happens to me every day. I say, great, what's your business? And they say, oh, I don't have a business. I just want to be an author. And I'll say, why? And they say, well, I really want to help people with my story. And I say, that's amazing. Go volunteer. It's going to be it's a much easier way to help people. If the average book sells 300 copies and you could go out and volunteer and help more than 300 people in a week, that's going to be a more fruitful use of your time. I do not believe the profession of author really exists today. Even the most successful ones. I mean, I guess J.K. Rowling, Glennon Doyle. Glennon Doyle's doing podcasts, doing speeches. I don't even think that's a job anymore. But for at least 99.999% of us, it's not a viable job. Like I said, when I was working on that book, I think I made $0.0025 a day. I think all creatives should have the self-respect to say, I should be compensated appropriately for what I'm doing. I will have people who say, they maybe don't say this to me, but they sort of think it's crass the way I talk about, oh, you need to have a business. And it's like, what I'm actually saying is you should be paid for your work. You shouldn't be doing it and begging for pennies. You should find a way to be able to live a wonderful life while also being creative.
What if the flip side of the would-be author comes to you and says, I want to be famous. I don't care about helping anybody. I want my name on all the lists.
Oh, I think to be effective and successful as an author and to have it really mean anything, you kind of got to have that combination of having something that really matters to you and a desire to share it. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be out there sharing a message. I think we live in the most magical time. We live in a terrible time in so many ways, and yet we live in the most magical time in terms of there are no gatekeepers anymore. Anybody can treat social media as their own magazine, TV station, radio station, publishing company, and I think so many people look at it as this albatross. Oh, I've got to keep putting content out there. What if it's just, how lucky are we that we can sort of be creative, put it out there whenever we want, and that there's no one there to say, no, you're not good enough. You're not good enough, so we're going to pick her. I think it's amazing. So I think that a lot of people I run into sort of say, well, who am I to write a book? Why should the world care about what I have to say? And it's like, why not you? Why not?
So is it almost good to have a little bit of the bravado, sort of just shameless self-promotion mixed with some type of, for lack of a better term, message?
Absolutely. I think that what people need to remember is self-promotion is not about you. It's like, if you have a message, if you recovered from something, and most people who are writing memoirs or nonfiction books have struggled with something and come out on the other side. And then they say, well, I'm not that into self-promotion. And it's like, if there's one person whose life is going to be saved from your book, you owe it to them. It's not about you. It's actually self-obsessed to not share it because you think that, that's self-obsessed or whatever it is.
The average author sells how many copies?
Around 300.
And this is per year?
Total,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many books being put out now. And I think people have their numbers they're very confused about the numbers. And I'm the exact same, when I remember being in the elevator at HarperCollins and talking about the first print run of Party Girl, and I remember saying, yeah, what's it gonna be, like 60,000? To me, when you don't know how many that means. Any book, if you sell 10,000 copies of your book has done very, very, very well. If those 10,000 sales happened in a week, you're hitting all the bestseller lists. So I think people who even just sell 2,000 or 3,000 copies of their book should feel really, really, really good about it.
You think people are reading less now or actually more because they're using Kindle and different things like that?
It's not, as far as I know, the statistics on reading haven't changed. It's the volume of books out there. When I published my first book in 2007, there's a fraction of what's available today.
Why do most authors fail?
Most authors fail because they have completely unrealistic ideas about what being an author means. They think they should be able to write a book and have everybody buy it and see their brilliance. And I'm somebody who had to learn this the hard way. I did it 6 times, failing to ask myself, who is this book for? If I had said that on my first book, my career would be so much different. You need to be able to say, who is my book for and what do I want them to do when they finish reading it? And if you can do that, you're going to be in better shape than 99.9% of authors out there. This is for nonfiction. Fiction's a little bit different. But so I always, with one of my books, Make Your Mess Your Memoir, I pictured one couple. So it's 2 people. I pictured them the whole time. Every page. Would they like this? Would this be too much for them? Would this freak them out? Would they get that? And I highly recommend that. This marketing idea is the riches are in the niches, or if your book is for everyone, it's for no one. The idea with a book is you make it for the smallest group of people possible, because what happens is that small group, the people in that small group read the book and feel so seen and feel like they have a book that's so specifically for them that they go out and they start recommending it to people. Now, the main reason we each pick books is somebody recommended them. Unlike movies where you're scrolling or whatever it is, most books are sold because somebody recommended them. So in other words, someone recommending your book means a lot more than you recommending your book. So if you convert one niche, they become your spokespeople. They become your salespeople. They go out and sell your book for them. So yeah, so I thought about one couple thinking, if they exist, there's a lot of other people like them. A lot of people talk about avatars and figure out, what kind of car does he drive? And all these things. I don't get, I just like to picture one person or a very small group of people.
Was this like this metaphorical couple that you saw out somewhere where you thought, I bet they would be into this?
No, it's actually, I'll tell you the story. So it's this couple that I knew from this mastermind group that I'm in. And we had talked about them hiring my company to do a book for them. And I thought, what's the book I could write that would convince them that I was the right company to hire? So I write this book. I get on Good Morning America for it. We bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars in new business. They don't hire us because I don't even think they read it. I run into them maybe a year later and I tell them the story. I go, I wrote a book for you. I was thinking about you guys on every page. And they said, that's hilarious. And it was at a gifting suite. So my book was there. And guess who I'm working with now? Them. They did hire us.
Wow.
But it was really just an exercise in, my books I'm writing to help build my business. I want to be able to be creative, and the way I can be creative and not have to worry about money is if I have a business that it's bringing people into. So I always am looking at it. And I think anybody who wants to be strategic and smart about it looks at it like that. What do I love to do? How can I write a book that will get people to hire me to do it?
What does a writer need to know if they don't want their book to fail?
I think writers need to get very clear about what success and failure means. If you're relying on the whims of the universe, it's like saying, how do I not lose at the lotto? You can't control what other people are going to do. I know I have had very successful book launches and unsuccessful book launches, and the success didn't have to do with how many books sold. It had to do with how I went into it. If you go into a book launch and you're thinking, this has to happen, and these number of books have to sell, and I got to get this review, and you're setting yourself up for disappointment. If you go in and you sort of have high expectations, but keep them loose and just decide you're going to have fun with it, it's going to be amazing. Because if you allow whatever the universe is going to bring, better things than you want are going to happen. But if I had such miserable book launches. I remember talking to a friend, he said, I never feel more sorry for people than the week of their book launch, because everybody thinks you're just having this incredible experience. But if you're traditionally published, you're just hearing from your publisher usually, it's not going very well. You're feeling like you got to do everything you can and you can't control it. So I say, when I compare how the Party Girl launch went in 2007 when HarperCollins released my book and how it went in 2021 when I re-released it myself, it was a world of difference, but it was all my attitude.